you can use Vendon on multiple different machines. So everything, all of the data comes into one platform. Whereas
Yeah.
if you have for each of the manufacturer a different dashboard and you have to log on, that's a pretty big pain.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. Today I've got an exciting guest from Europe, Giannis Yukna. Giannis, how you doing? And I appreciate you coming in here today.
Good. Hi, Neil. Yeah, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Good. Hey, so tell me, whereabouts are you from? Where are you coming from today?
I'm in Riga, Latvia, so in north of Europe. This is
Okay.
where actually I was born and then raised. I did my studies abroad in the UK, but I came
Yep.
back, and then a couple of years later I joined Vendon, and since
Okay.
then
And
I've been living here.
awesome. All right. So that's our discussion today. So I want you to give us a little bit of a sort of a rundown of Vendon. And you guys are showing at the NAMA show in Los Angeles here coming up soon. But give us a little recap of Vendon.
Sure, yeah. So what we do is we provide connectivity and payment solutions to the vending and coffee machine operators. So
Okay.
essentially, it means that we have a hardware that you connect to the coffee or vending machine,
Yep.
and then we have all the cloud solution and mobile apps so you can manage your fleet. And
Right.
we have been doing this for the last 15 years.
Okay. What is your role at the company, Giannis?
I'm head of sales. I'm head of sales. So I've been always in sales. I joined the company when it was really small. I think we
Yep.
were around 11, 12 people. So back then I
Okay.
had to do also quite a lot of customer onboarding, sometimes technical support.
Yeah.
But for the last 4 years, I've been leading the sales team here.
Awesome. That's what we do, right? As a startup, you just got to jump in and
Exactly.
and just do it all. Do it all.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Vendon's global, right? Where are you strong? Where is your base? Because you're brand new to North America.
Yeah. I mean, we have more than 100,000 connected machines in the field, so they're sending data every single day, and
Great.
typically it's more than 100 countries. Okay, so it's a lot of different countries, different mobile operators, and so on. So
Yeah.
Uh, and in terms of geography, so it's everywhere. Say one side it's Japan, the Philippines, the other it's North America and South America. The
Okay.
most is Europe. Still, we're a European company. That's where we started, so we have the biggest connected fleet in Europe.
Yeah.
Second would be, I would say, Latin America. So Mexico is a very big
Okay.
market for us, and US is also growing.
Yeah. Okay. So you are in US. You're just now sort of turning on the heat to grow it faster.
Correct. Yeah, and also, us being part of the Ascoian group
Yeah.
is also a lot to do with that, right? So they
Right.
have already Ascoian USA, and
Yeah.
we are working with those guys to, to be more present in the market.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ascoian is a coffee machine I'm very familiar with. I can honestly say it's probably my favorite coffee machine in the break room. So you guys are part of the Ascoian group. How did that all go down? Did they
Yeah.
purchase Vendon?
Yeah, so it was 4 years when Ascoian Group bought us, right? So
Right.
so they included us in the payment system and connectivity division. So basically, Ascoin has three main divisions. One is the coffee and vending machine division. Then we have the payments and connectivity, where Vendon is part of, and also then it's the access and security division. So we are part of we're in one of the divisions, and
Yeah.
yeah, so for the last 4 years, we're part of a much larger group. It's
Yeah.
pretty big company, yeah, in Spain.
Yeah. And then just all the different opportunities that come with a much larger organization, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it has a long history. It's an 80-year-old company.
Yep.
Last year was the best year ever for the group in
Okay.
terms of the revenue. So it's growing and growing very strong.
Yep.
And of course, this huge experience that they have when it comes to coffee machines and what exactly is important about coffee and vending machines, what kind of data or what kind of
Yeah.
parameters that helps us a lot so we can improve
Yeah.
our solution.
Yeah.
and also in the combination, right? So for customers, we can provide full solution whereby they can get the most out of both the coffee and vending machines and also connectivity solution.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, so tell us, let's get into the product a little bit. So tell us about your product. So you've got the Vendon Cloud. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So what we are trying to is to ensure that our operators they can do basically everything that they need during the day. So they can first see what's going on with their machines. So that's the monitoring part. So they see how many machines are up and running, how many have problems, how many should be visited for refilling purposes or for technical maintenance.
Yep.
So that's the first bit, right? As an operator, you want to log on and make sure that your machines are up and running. They're making you money.
Yeah, definitely.
Secondly, it's about planning, right? So if when you sort of pinpoint those machines that should be visited, then you have to plan, in what sequence you're going to do that, who's going to do that from your team, and so on. And
Hmm.
thirdly, it's once you're done with that, you can do analysis. So you can take the sales data and then crunch those numbers in terms of what products are selling well, what are not
Yeah.
doing that great, which customers or locations.
Yeah.
Um, what about them, right? And since we have all of the data in real time, you can do an in-depth analysis as to specific times of the day when some products are doing better, some worse, so on. So it's all of these basically from start to finish. If you look at the
Yeah.
operator, so we can provide this vending management system for them.
Yeah, it's amazing. Back when I first started my vending company, before I got into this go refresh media and everything, it was
Yeah,
basically just fill your truck up as many products as you could get
yeah,
into that truck, and then just leave all day, and then
yeah.
just hopefully you had the products in the truck. And then even the bigger companies, they might have 20 trucks going out like that. So it's been amazing to see all the different technologies come in, like
But you would be
Vendon.
surprised, Neil, how many companies they have. They may have tens of thousands of machines, but they're still running in this way. It's such a
Yeah,
huge part with some pretty outdated system, so to say.
yeah,
It's just there's so many ways how to do it better.
yep,
How many unnecessary visits you can save, right? So
yeah,
you don't need to go to a machine just because you go there every day. I mean, you have to go there
definitely.
if there is a need,
Yeah,
plus or there could be a need, right? So
yeah,
telemetry is also about looking, what could happen, right? So if the machine is not being clean, if you look at say
yep,
coffee machines, if the machine is not being
hmm,
clean, so it may break down. If the
yeah,
consumption is going up, or you can anticipate some specific events happening in the area,
yeah,
again you can look at the what is the consumption so far, is it increasing or not, and then anticipate those machine
yeah,
refills in advance. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not about looking back but also looking forward.
yeah. One of the things I tell everyone, anyone that wants to get into the vending industry, I tell them, you need to start with technology right out of the gate, just to give you a point of difference. Because, definitely here in America, the freeways are so crowded. And, you put your machines in a 50 square mile radius, just to get around them is so difficult these days. So to have the data to just be able to make that, informed decision and show up right when they need it is perfect.
That's a very good point. I mean, especially with new companies, right? So when they start from scratch, it's much easier for them to start with
Yeah.
technology first. It's much
Yep.
more difficult when it comes to companies that have been doing their business in one particular way,
Yeah.
because you have to change. The most important thing is to change the processes, right? So putting a telemetry box into a vending or coffee machine is easy.
Yeah.
To benefit from that, you have to change the way you do business, the way you do operations,
Yeah.
and that's a pretty difficult thing. You have to be really open-minded and committed to that.
And I always say too that, the operators are so busy just trying to fill all their machines. And then to try to implement some new technology, it's difficult. It's worth it in the long run, but just a big lift out of the gate.
And you can save time, right? I mean, you can save time in terms of planning, right? I mean, instead of
Yeah.
doing that on Excel, this is done automatically, right? So
Yeah.
We can give to operators information as to which machines this morning should be visited, right?
Yep.
And how that looks. So basically, a refiller who visits certain machines, we can understand which machines they should visit today and whether or not he or she will be able to do that based on the traffic
Yeah.
information and also how much time it takes to actually do those refills at each of the
Yep.
machines.
Yep. Yep. That's good. Hey, now, global. When you go out globally, right, every time you come to an area, there's going to be issues that you have to resolve. So it sounds like no matter where you go, whatever issues come out in terms of integrations with different things, you can sort them all out, no problem.
So we have compatibility with around 400 different coffee and vending machines. So that's the
Oh,
first
wow.
thing, right? So we need to get the data. We need to connect to the machine,
Yeah.
so that's the first thing we have covered during these. I guess those 14 or 15 years we have been in the business. That really helps because
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
we have come across a lot of different manufacturers, both in
Yep.
Europe and in the US. So that really puts us in a good position and to be able to get the most data out of those machines and also to sort of, I mean, machines speak in, so to say, in the same language, but they have
Yep.
different dialects, so to say. So it's like,
Okay.
although they are following certain ways how the machine should report the data, they still sometimes have differences, and you have to know those differences so that you can show the data most accurately.
Yeah.
Because there's no point in data unless it's correct, right? I mean, otherwise it will be misleading.
Yeah, totally.
Uh, yeah, so that's what we have been, working really hard on for the last 15 years.
Hey, so Giannis, give us kind of a real life example of an operator that you're really familiar with that's utilizing the Vendon technology.
We have actually an interesting project with a company that has 55,000 employees, and they have it's a manufacturing plant, and they had 500 coffee machines in their manufacturing plant. And we did like a small sample study. So we connected 9 machines and run them for 2 months. And after that, we could sort of spot some pretty interesting things that we reported to the customer, such as
Yeah.
one of the things we noticed is that the customer could tell us, how much milk they are pouring into the machines, and we could see how much is actually being used to make beverages. And the
Okay.
difference in 2 months was uh, around more. Basically, the idea was that there was 600 liters of milk, which is around 180 gallons,
Okay.
were just spilled out. So it wasn't really used to make beverages, and we sort of looked into that to understand how such a big difference can be, and we realized that there are a couple of things. So first of all, they were cleaning and refilling the machines in afternoons. So around 4 or 5, they would clean the machine and pour the milk full tank into the machine, and this was done by maintenance company that works in this site. So they were
Hmm.
just interested in doing their job, right? So they were not really interested as to whether they're being the most frugal with the ingredients or not. Whereas for this company, obviously that was a big loss, and
Yeah.
and so we suggested that, well, first of all, avoid these peak times for any kind of maintenance work so that there is good experience for your employees, so there's no downtime. And secondly, make sure that in afternoons you don't fill more than, say, half of the milk that is needed, because in these times of the day it's going to be a very low consumption. And especially what we have noticed is that if people are drinking coffee after 5 or 6 p.m., most likely they'll have drinks without milk, so espresso
Okay.
or black coffee. I guess it's because if you are drinking at that hour, you're probably a hardcore coffee drinker, right? So,
Exactly. Yeah.
yes, so you're really going for the strong stuff.
Yeah.
And this was just 2 months of like a sample testing that where we exactly could show some pretty interesting findings also in terms of beans. So there was some strange things happening as well that we highlighted, that um, again, discrepancies between how much was put into machines versus how much drinks were made, so
Yeah.
that they should take a look into that, where those beans are going. Is somebody taking them home or something? It's just there was
Yeah.
something funny happening. So
Yeah.
that was that was a real life example where we could see, and just after 2 months and only just 9 or 10 machines that we connected for the pilot test, they could see immediately the effect.
Yeah. Now that's great data, and I'm sure the operators to bring that to their account contacts, the facility managers, to show them where they can make improvements. I think that's a great example.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Hey, so you're coming to Los Angeles. You've got a booth at the NAMA show.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we're going to be at the Ascoian Group's stand, so together with them.
Okay.
So we'll be able to show on real machines, what exactly is that we're doing,
Yep.
and to show the live platform. So yeah, we have been going to NAMA shows for the last, I think this is going to be the third time,
Okay.
third year in a row.
Yep.
So yeah, we really look forward to showing all the capabilities that we can do.
It's really good timing too, right? Obviously, within North America, you've got the big merger going on right now between Cantaloupe and 365. And I know a
Yeah.
lot of operators are sort of sitting back, waiting how this is going to turn out. Everyone's thinking higher prices. But the fact that, there's companies like Vendon coming into the market can keep everyone honest.
Yeah, that's a good point about the merger. And also I think US is a great market because, as you mentioned, it's a huge country, right? So
Yeah.
it's a long distances. So being
Yeah.
smart about which machines to visit, um, where exactly they're located, right? So some of the things that we are bringing to the market is also localization tools. So basically kind of location tracking tools that can be
Yeah.
used on machines. So I think that there's a big potential, like in terms of the value that we can provide. We already
Yeah.
see that with the customers that we have in our portfolio in the US. So they
Yeah.
appreciate that they can see, what's going on with their machines, if it's about coffee machines, how many drinks they have dispensed. So instead
Yeah.
of going there and taking the counters manually from the machines, they can see that anytime
Yeah.
online. So
Yeah.
I think there's a big value that we can provide to the market.
That's awesome. Hey, I know that telemetry has been out for a while. And a lot of vending machines are connected. Obviously, all the micro markets are connected through the kiosks and everything. In America, what percentage of the coffee machines connected to the internet? To me, I was doing some investigation yesterday.
All right.
To me, it doesn't seem a lot, which is exciting because to be able to sit at a dashboard and look at your whole fleet of coffee machines, we'll say, to see if they need stocking, if they're up and running, I think is going to be amazing for our industry.
Yeah, I think there's big potential. And you rightly point out that there are more and more manufacturers that have their own built-in telemetry. And
Yeah.
this in fact helps us to educate the customer. And what we bring to the table from this perspective is that you can use Vendon on multiple different machines. So all of the data comes into one platform. Whereas
Yeah.
if you have for each of the manufacturer different dashboard and you have to log on, that's a pretty big pain. And most
Yeah.
of the operators, they have different manufacturer machines, right? Because they have
Yep.
different customers of
Hmm.
them with different needs in terms of types of machines, bean or instant or fresh milk or powder milk and so on. So, and we have seen this in the shows where customers come to us and they say they have already tried telemetry, so they know the value, they understand the value. They have done this with built-in telemetries from manufacturers, but they sort of realize that it's not really practical to have multiple platforms,
Yeah,
and then they
exactly.
come to us because they know that by having a third-party hardware that you connect to the machine, which is very easy to connect it, you can
Yep.
get all of this data in one place.
Yep. That's the key. Well, Giannis, listen, I really appreciate you jumping in here and having a chat. I'll definitely come and say hi to you guys in your booth in Los
Oh, yeah.
Angeles, and good luck with your rollout.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, see you around.
All right. Thanks, Giannis. See you later.
Thank you. Bye.